I mean, very interesting book that I'm just reading right now is this one, The Bushido of Bitcoin by Svetsky. And he goes on about like the lost virtues that like the societies of today have lost basically all the connection to these ancient virtues, and Bitcoin is a very crucial link to bring this back. So it's always interesting to think about how Bitcoin can change the society for the better. And it's just not just money, it's not just like economic prosperity, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like building more honest societies, getting more in touch with like our communities, our values. So, and getting this kind of responsibility back to people, because with fiat and with the high time preference society that we live in, there's like very little accountability. Feels like that. Yeah, this is a little bit of a rant, but that's just some of the things that I've been thinking about reading Svetsky right now. So far, a very good book that I would recommend. So, I mean, we're on the path to hyper Bitcoinization for sure.
Friends in the tweets of the great, I found myself drawn to the...
Hello, this is the Bitcoin Libertarian. Our guest today is Josef. Josef is from Trezor Academy, the educational initiative powered by Trezor, the leading hardware wallet provider. Launched in 2024, Trezor Academy focuses on accelerating Bitcoin adoption through free in-person workshops worldwide, with a special emphasis on the global south and emerging communities. They already run programs in over 20 countries, graduating hundreds of students in topics like self-custody and Bitcoin fundamentals. Today, we will talk about the importance of education for the hyper-Bitcoinization. Josef, welcome.
Hello, thanks for the invite.
Thanks for being here, and let's move to the first question. The first question that I do to everyone, Josef, is how were you orange-pilled?
So I was orange-pilled to the largest extent probably by Andreas Antonopoulos when he came to Prague in 2016. There was a long-time conference going on called Hackers Congress Prague. Andreas came in 2016 and he had one of the most powerful speeches I ever heard. Since then, since 2016, I started to pay attention to Bitcoin, eventually writing my own book on Bitcoin. Yeah, so but there's, I wouldn't say there's like one single moment. There's like a couple of strong moments, a lot of very good teachers, kind of friends, and you just go deeper and deeper.
Yes, I think that, as you said, there is not one moment. Is gradually, as I always say, becoming a maxi is like falling in love. You gradually go deeper, and you go deep in the rabbit hole. And when you realize you're already all in and you cannot stop talking about Bitcoin. So can you start by telling us about the origins of Trezor Academy? What inspired Trezor to launch the educational initiative?
Yeah, so I have a pretty good answer to what was the motivation, because the motivation was Alex Gladstein's book, Check Your Financial Privilege. Alex Gladstein is the strategic director of Human Rights Foundation. And I met Alex back in 2022 in Miami, Bitcoin 22. His book just came out, so I had a good fortune to read the book right before the conference, then talk to Alex. He invited me to Oslo for the Oslo Freedom Forum, which is an human rights foundation conference every year in Oslo. I've been visiting that conference ever since, and basically what Alex brought to the table back then was this human rights aspect of Bitcoin. And he showcased that Bitcoin is actually being used as money in the global south, in very unprivileged countries, very unprivileged communities across Africa, across Latin America, in totalitarian countries. And as a as a fellow libertarian, such as you, I this really reignited my passion for Bitcoin, because I was a libertarian before I was a Bitcoiner. So like a couple of years ago, these two worlds merged beautifully, and I just knew I had to do something like that. because I was working like in the Bitcoin space for a couple of years, but having the opportunity to accelerate freedom as well as financial freedom, that was the main motivation for me to basically bring up the idea of Trezor Academy to the company, and the company loved it, so we launched it. And yeah, so now we are running Bitcoin education in Africa, Latin America, and all the places where there otherwise wouldn't be that much Bitcoin education.
Yes, I think that I come from Latin America. Even though I'm based in Hong Kong, I'm Argentinian. That, by the way,
Mhm.
we have the first ever libertarian president in history, and I know that we don't have financial education. It's not even Bitcoin education. It's financial education. Today, I was watching a video from an Argentinian economist trying to explain about how to save money, these basic things. We don't have this education in Argentina and the time preference. That's why we need to give the cultural battle to push these ideas, especially in this part of the world. And how does it tie into the company broader mission of promoting self-custody, the educational initiative?
Yeah, so yes, we promote self-custody, but we also promote just general Bitcoin education and, as you say, financial literacy as well, because people tend to learn about the value of savings in general through Bitcoin. Because I believe, as you said, in many places like Argentina, it just doesn't make sense to save in the local currency because it's just meaningless. You will lose the purchasing power in a couple of months. So a lot of people are learning about the nature and the value of savings through DCA, through Bitcoin savings. So it ties to the values of the company because one of the main values of the company is just empowering individuals around the world through Bitcoin education, through owning their money, through self-custody. And I mean, Trezor Academy is just educational nonprofit for the company. We felt that we need to give back to some extent because the company has been around for more than 10 years now. One of the first Bitcoin companies in the space, running strong to this day. One of the strongest in the self-custody space. So we wanted to um, basically keep the momentum going for the Bitcoin adoption worldwide. And yeah, as I said, like the motivation was Alex Gladstein, the work he does with HRF, and we saw that that is where we could provide some value back to the community.
And as a libertarian, when you discover, because it happened the same to me, I was libertarian before Bitcoin when I was studying at the university. When you discover Bitcoin, did you think that Bitcoin was the missing piece of the puzzle for the libertarian ideology to be useful for the world?
But yes, very much. Because I remember reading like Rothbard and all these old school Austrian economists, and they were always going on about we need to go back to the gold standard. And Rothbard, even in some of his textbooks, he doesn't use USD like in explaining like economic phenomena. He doesn't use US dollars. He uses ounces of gold. So that was always seemed like funny, but quite natural to me because yeah, that's the sound money. But the missing piece was always how do we get back to the sound money standard? Because of course, reinstating gold standard would require a big cooperation from the governments, which just isn't going to happen. Because gold standard to large extent, I believe, needs governments, and that's what was its undoing in the end. So Bitcoin as a sort of digital gold, I don't really like that comparison too much, but it works to this extent because it's basically like gold that you can teleport around and doesn't need these authorities to carry it around, to safeguard it, to verify it. So yeah, Bitcoin is definitely the missing piece of libertarianism, anarcho-capitalism, Austrian economics.
And how do you define freedom in the context of Bitcoin?
So freedom I define as respect to privacy, to property rights. So yeah, my definition of freedom is definitely like this negative kind of freedom. So freedom from, not freedom to do anything. It's a freedom from intervention, mainly of the government, of course. Also freedom from being coerced, being forced to do something. So it's also freedom um, to protect yourself and your family. Yeah, so that's freedom for me.
Excellent.
And
And
Bitcoin of course is a major tool to safeguard such type of freedom.
yes, because again, I repeat always that this is the only real property that you can own, because even a house, the government can take it, even take it as a communist, or if they have a plan to build a highway, they take your house, they give you the money, but they move you. With Bitcoin, you cannot. They cannot. Bitcoin is yours, and especially uh, with the self custody. So I think that teaching money, teaching saving, and teaching self custody are the main tools for the people to be free.
Yes, of course. And as you mentioned, like real estate property rights, it's a total joke, especially in Europe, especially in the place where I live in Czech Republic. You think you own a house or a land, but you need to ask for permission to do anything on the land. So if you want to expand your house, if you want to change the type of windows that you have, you always need to ask for permission. So that's not a property. That's just a long-term rent from the government. So yes, that doesn't happen with Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, you can truly own it. You can carry it around the world. You can send it to whoever you want.
Yes. Now, what you mentioned about the what happened in Czech Republic happened the same in Argentina. In Argentina, if you do some small construction in your house, probably the municipality is taking pictures from the air, and they say, "Oh, this was not there. It's not declared." And you need to pay more taxes. And yes, it's not. You cannot even do whatever you want with your property. And walk us through a typical program from Trezor Academy.
Of course, yeah. So the way it works is I look for Bitcoin educators from around the world. As we said, the global south. Mostly it's Africa, but a lot of activities in Latin America as well. But let's say it's Africa. Uh, the way it usually works is I try to travel to all the um, Bitcoin conferences on the African continent, so stuff like Africa Bitcoin Conference or Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town. I was also in Cameroon recently, and when I'm there, I try to become friends with the local Bitcoin educators, and we propose that we can run the Bitcoin meetups with those local Bitcoin educators, where they teach the material. I have written it. It's a Bitcoin-only focused educational program for newcomers, and these local educators basically um, do all the work on the ground. They book a venue. They get a group together of like 20 to 30 highly interested people, but who are still newbies, and then they will teach 3 Bitcoin meetups, in-person physical meetups. Usually we do it 3 weeks in a row, maybe every Saturday, and they will the participants will learn about why Bitcoin matters. So the explanation of what's the problem with the fiat monetary system. So why Bitcoin matters, how to use Bitcoin, self-custody versus custodial wallets, Lightning versus on-chain, stuff like that, sending some sets around. And the third meetup is focused on what are Bitcoiners to do. So what are the educational resources, how to get involved, how to maybe find a job in Bitcoin, how to start a circular economy, what kind of podcasts, books to listen if you want to get involved more. Yeah, and so we've seen a major interest across African communities, uh, and it relies heavily on the persona of the teacher, basically, how well respected he is in his community, what kind of group he can put together, he or she, and yeah, how proficient these educators are in terms of Bitcoin. But as I say, I try to get these educators at the Bitcoin conferences. So usually you meet some very good, very enthusiastic Bitcoiners at such events. And we've been, I would say, quite happy with the teachers that we work with.
Yes, I think that I got your contact from Joshua, from I think that is from Mozambique, that he is with
Yeah,
Trezor
maybe if that's
Academy.
Botswana, if it's Josh Vasquez, yeah, so that's Botswana. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Botswana.
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I'm still waiting for him to accept to be part of the podcast, but now in Spanish because we had in English. And yes, I like all the things that they are doing because are crucial for the community to learn all these topics that sometimes people think that are super difficult. Probably people think that they are not from them because thinking about money on saving is for the people who has a lot of money. But with Bitcoin and understanding what is Bitcoin and understanding the compound effect, you discover that you don't need a lot of money to buy
Yes.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I say, it's really like the most important factor in doing like grassroots Bitcoin education in the global south is having a great local teacher who explains Bitcoin in local contexts, sometimes in local languages. We do have also the program translated to multiple African languages because sometimes English is a problem, French is a problem, even though it's a national language in the country. Because we run the program in townships or like slums, very poor communities. So a lot of people in these settings don't speak the national language, and they will speak just like some local language. So we need like locals that are capable of that. So there's like a language barrier. There's financial literacy barrier, and also a very high trust barrier because there's a lot of scams also targeting poor people in these communities. So Bitcoin sometimes has this association with some kind of Ponzi scheme that has been around for years. So the local educators need to uh, have some pre-established trust and continue on building on this trust so that the participants understand that this guy isn't going to scam me. He's actually trying uh, to hand over some insights, some knowledge. So yeah, that's very important. It's very community based, very trust based.
And the educators you pick up, or some people can approach you and say, okay, I have this community around in that place, or I have this project, and you probably can give them a go-to.
Yeah, that's also how we've met some of the local educators. We have a form on our website, on the Trezor Academy website, where anybody can apply to become our teacher. There's definitely much more applications that we are capable of satisfying. Our budget isn't limitless, sadly, but we've met some really great people just through the Google form. Then we usually have a call, and we chat about what's this guy's background in terms of Bitcoin education, organizing meetups, doing local community organizing, and we have like some very interesting people like school teachers that are capable teachers and suddenly started to get into Bitcoin, and they just you know how it goes. They get this fire inside of them and just need to talk about it to everybody. So these are the best. These are really the best educators. So yeah, and musicians as well. Just general merchants, university students, university teachers. So all kinds of people apply to for this, and yeah, it just needs to be like a passionate Bitcoiner, and then usually we find a way to work together.
Amazing. And for the content that they provide, the people who attends to these meetups, they are accessible to people with zero knowledge, or you need to have a kind of background to attend to the
Yeah,
conference.
it's total Bitcoin 101. So I have written the curriculum precisely with with the targets to for the teacher to be able to explain Bitcoin to like their grandmother. And we have seen meetups basically for grandmas in one of the townships, and they were very excited about learning about Bitcoin, learning about financial literacy for the first time in their lives. So yeah, it's very accessible. It's not technical at all. There's some like hands-on stuff, just installing like a Blink wallet and sending some sets around, wiping the wallet, recovering from the seed. So really like basic stuff that anybody can do if they can use the phone. If they have a phone, doesn't even have to be a smartphone, because you can use Bitcoin on a feature phone, on the dump button phone in Africa through the Machankura project. So there's really basically no obstacle, definitely no like technical proficiencies needed. And
Yeah,
that's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin today, because the ecosystem has progressed so far that actually anybody can use Bitcoin.
of course, anybody can use Bitcoin, and that's the main ethos of Satoshi and how Bitcoin was designed. So you don't need a space technology to use Bitcoin. You just can have an old with an old laptop. You can use Bitcoin with an old mobile phone. That's the amazing thing of Bitcoin.
Yeah, precisely.
That is for everyone. Even though it's super easy now to use Bitcoin, again, we need a lot of education. Because we have only which percentage of the world using Bitcoin? 5-8% of the world?
Yeah, I would say 5% is a very optimistic number, but maybe, yeah, it's single digits, definitely.
Yeah, that's why we are here. We need to orange peel, as I always say, we need to orange peel 8 billion people. We need to onboard everyone into Bitcoin, because it's the only way that humanity can progress and can keep growing in time. And you run programs over 20 countries and mostly in Africa. What unique challenges and opportunities you encounter in these kind of countries?
Yeah, so I would say the unique challenge is really overcoming this skepticism and pessimism. A lot of people in a lot of African countries, especially, uh, have this idea that it's just too good to be true if they get approached, that there's like some kind of free education where you will actually get some refreshments. And I've learned that's very interesting. I've learned that if you are doing uh, any meetups, any kind of meetups in Africa, there needs to be a refreshment. Otherwise, people won't come and they won't stay. There needs to be like some drinks and some food, like non-alcoholic drinks, but some dinner. There needs to be food. So that's one of the requirements that we have with the organizers to basically provide that. But it's a given usually. And it sort of seems too good to be true to the participants, that we are not selling them anything. We are not selling the devices. We are not even like proposing that they should consider purchasing the devices. It's just a really non-profit educational project. So and usually that just doesn't happen in many people's lives if they live in Africa, especially in poorer communities. So overcoming this skepticism that this is just too good to be true, it's some sales event, or even worse, it's like some scam. That's the hardest part, basically. And that's also, again, why it is so crucial to run these meetups through locals that have some local reputation, some local trust. Otherwise, the language barrier as well, we've learned that early on, that even though it seems like half of the Africa speaks French and half of the Africa speaks English, it's actually much more complicated. And especially if you don't want to run the meetups only for like the middle and higher class, which isn't our goal. We want to do it for truly like the unprivileged. So we run the meetups in townships. So we need the local language resources. That's why, for example, recently we have translated one of my books to Swahili, which is a very popular language in the East Africa. So one unique obstacle is that we have quite a lot of language versions of the course now, and it's quite hard to keep track of if everything is updated. And so right now, we're trying to partner up with the Plan B network, which is very great, one of the best education platforms out there, to basically address this problem, to just reconcile all the regional language versions so that we can keep track of everything. So I would say these are the two unique problems for our program: overcoming the distrust and just handling so many language versions of the program.
And what is more difficult for the people or for you as an educator? Teach about Bitcoin or try the people to stay away from the shit coins and all this crap that like is more funny than Bitcoin, but we know that it's like a casino.
Yeah, well, it feels to me like shitcoins have been dying for the past couple of years. It just doesn't feel like it did in 2017 or 21. Like there's a lot of scams going on, but it feels like nobody's really that passionate about it anymore. And you know the chart about the Bitcoin dominance, it's been rising quite steadily for the past couple of years. I don't know if it's like maybe 70% now or 60 maybe. Yeah, there's still a lot of that going on, but I think Bitcoin has pretty much won over that over time. Like there's stable coins, you know, there's like stable coins are very popular in places like Argentina, for example, Africa as well. But I mean, it's not Bitcoin, but it isn't as harmful as like shitcoins and scams. So we don't really try to steer people away from stablecoins. I mean, people have a use case, a valid use case for it. So to me, it's fine. Like the Trezor Academy is like Bitcoin only. But if people have questions about stablecoins, we can at least point them in the right direction, because there's also like shitty stablecoins out there. So if they use like something that has been around for years, you should still like provide the caveat that all the stablecoins are centralized. It's still a shitty fiat, basically. But I mean, if you need to use it, just use it, but don't. Then just get rid of it.
I don't know if you heard about Dollar on Chain. That
Yeah.
is not 100, is not centralized. We have the guy Manu Ferrari, that is the president of the Bitcoin Argentina. He was explaining about that Tether tomorrow can froze your account, then can ban your coins or your USDT, but they cannot. Dollar on Chain cannot. So we need more of this project. And one other thing that you said that Bitcoin is winning. Bitcoin, there are not so many scams about the shitcoin. It's because people like you that take the time and the money and the effort to go and educate to the people who are more in need, because these
Yes.
people are the most vulnerable. Because it's people that have. I come from a middle class family in Argentina, but you don't need to go to Africa to see poverty or misery. In Argentina, we see it every day, and it's not. We are not far away from Africa, or we were not far away from Africa before Milei taking office. So, and projects like yours and many others that are around help people to understand what is Bitcoin, understand how to save, answer questions. For example, the typical question that people ask: I cannot buy one Bitcoin. Can I buy less than one Bitcoin? Or for many people today, I was watching this video, Argentinian video, that a man was putting in the comments of the YouTube, oh, I lost the train of Bitcoin. So people think that they are late for Bitcoin. So all the effort that you put and all appreciate a lot, because you are making Bitcoin win. And can you share some stories about how in some communities this educational project has changed life or has changed the community itself. For example, a Bitcoin Famba in Mozambique or Bitcoin Kampala in Uganda?
Oh yes, Bitcoin Kampala is a great example of Brendan, the guy that we work with, and he's one of the most visible Ugandan Bitcoiners. So what he does is very unique because he comes from an orphanage, and he got this education. He got his job experience and stuff, and then he understood Bitcoin, and he came back to his own orphanage, and he started to basically try to help the orphans out in his own original background. And so what he's doing is he's doing Bitcoin education, but he's also trying to help the kids that don't have any parents. And yeah, so he's been basically building the whole community, not just with Bitcoin as a focus, but just helping people out and helping people that have otherwise no hope. And Bitcoin helps him, to fundraise stuff for that, to explain financial literacy to the kids and to the teachers and to people that are in the community. He's onboarded multiple merchants in the community that he works in. He even started like a juice shop. So he has many videos, either through Bitcoin Kampala or Gorilla Sets or his own account, Brendan Vine, that you can check out. And he has many stories about like what he's done for the community. Right now, he's trying to save like an elementary school in Uganda. And he's fundraising among Bitcoiners to basically help out with that project. So yeah, Brendan, he's one of the best stories out there in terms of what Bitcoin is capable of doing in like very poor, very unprivileged communities. Yeah, and we've seen like multiple stories like that around Africa, but Brendan is one of the best. Yes.
We can call him out so he can be telling in the story here in our stream.
Yeah.
I love talking with people from Africa or from Latin America because now we are in this hype. Last week just finished the Bitcoin conference here in Hong Kong, Bitcoin Asia. And for me, even though I'm not against the treasury companies, I'm not against the big money coming to Bitcoin because it puts it mainstream and that's what we need. And we are all of the same team. But I come from the affiliate marketing background, and this conference for me looked like an affiliate marketing conference. So not without models. So, but I like that. But I think that when I talk with these people from Africa or from South Latin America, the educational projects, is that you see the real ethos of Satoshi. You see that they are the people for why Satoshi created Bitcoin. And I love the stories that they have. So I want to onboard more to tell the stories in the podcast so other people in other communities also can feel inspired and start their own community and start helping people and start teaching people about Bitcoin. And beyond the workshops, you support events like the Bitcoin Conference in Nairobi and Bitcoin Mastermind in Benin. How do these partnerships amplify your impact?
Yes, so both of these events are organized by our educators that we work with in Trezor Academy. So, for example, the Unconference, one of the organizers was Linda, that we worked with for a couple of years now in Kenya, in Nairobi. She's been doing a great job running the Bitcoin meetups with us. We did multiple programs over the years. So if someone like that asks for sponsorship of the events, of the event that they are going to run, usually we know that they are going to do a great job because we understand how passionate they are. And also, as to your question, how it amplifies what we are trying to do. So Trezor Academy is mostly focused on newbies and just basic newcomers. Don't need any financial literacy, don't need any digital literacy. They will learn that as they need to. But partnering up with specific projects like the Bitcoin Conference or the Mastermind or BTC Dada in Kenya, these are usually targeting like specific groups that are maybe a little bit more advanced or have some specific needs. And that's what our program doesn't really address. And that's not the goal of the program. Our program is like the early funnel of Bitcoiners, basically just explaining the Bitcoin 101 to total newcomers. But then they usually need to, after they think about it and understand that Bitcoin isn't like some kind of nonsense, they usually would like to continue with their journey. There's stuff like these specific conferences, specific programs, specific trainings that we like to partner up with because they continue the progression, continue the advancement of the people that usually have come to Trezor Academy before. So yeah, we do like to partner up with like passionate Bitcoin educators that know what they're doing and that can fit the program to specific people.
Yes, and talking about the programs, you said that there are 3 or 4 meetups. These are like only one time, or they repeat. For example, this month we have 3, next month another 3 again, something like that.
Yeah, usually it's one time, but if we are very happy with how the organizer works, then usually we repeat the program a couple of times a year, but we always ask for, there should be like most of the people that come to these meetups should be newcomers so that it's not always the same group because that would make sense. So for example, in Burundi, I believe we're running 6 programs this year, so every 2 months. And the guys in Burundi, it's called Free Tech Institute. They are basically traveling around the country, sometimes doing the program among university students. These guys also are part of Students for Liberty Africa, so they have a very strong connection to the student community. Sometimes they do it with like local businessmen or with local corporations. So yeah, they're really capable of like finding like a nice cohesive group that can learn together. So we're looking for like educators like that, and if they are capable of doing that, then we do repeat programs with them.
Excellent. And how do you teach practically the self custody, and what common misconceptions the student have about the hardware wallets?
Yes. So the program is mostly teaching Bitcoin as such. We do have like a couple of slides about self-custody and hardware wallets specifically. And we explain it as a sort of progression because we don't want to put people off so that it doesn't seem like if you want to get into Bitcoin, you need to buy some kind of device and then you need to write down the seed, and that can be intimidating. So we explain it as a progression. So if you have like just couple dollars worth of Bitcoin, or if you're a merchant that want to start accepting Bitcoin, just download the Blink wallet. That's a very nice wallet, works fine. Like a lot of people know the development team personally. They also come to Africa, to the African Bitcoin conferences, so you can meet them. So it's not like some strange anonymous team. So we recommend that wallet as the early touch point. If that works for you, if you want to get deeper into Bitcoin, then it's a good idea to maybe install a Phoenix, so like a self-custody Lightning wallet. There you will get familiar with writing down the seed, recovering the wallet and stuff like that. And if you have more than $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, then you should consider getting a hardware wallet. But we don't want to put people off in terms of you need to run a node, you need to get a hardware wallet, you need to set up a multisig. Some people do that, and it's crazy because then you will put people off. It's a progression. You need to get there. You should get there eventually, but you need some steps before that.
No, excellent what you do, because I think the same, because many Bitcoiners or many podcasters or many people who is in YouTube, they talk a lot about this. You need to run a node. You need to have the hardware wallet, and to start in Bitcoin, you don't need that. So I think that probably if you go and teach how to run a node, the newbies get scared and they leave. So you need to understand attacking the problem. That is, what is money, what is saving, the power of Bitcoin that comes to solve all this kind of problem. And this leads to another question that I want to ask. Have you faced problems in terms of governments of these countries doing this program? Because if people, I know by hand, because in Argentina until 2023, we live with some kind of this kind of governments that they want to print money and control people, and Bitcoin for these kind of governments are enemies. So do you face any problem? And if so, how did you avoid this problem?
Yeah, that's a great question that I don't get asked too much, and I was always worried that this is going to be the case. But so far we didn't encounter too many problems. One of the major issues for us is we usually ship like some kind of merch and a couple of devices for giveaways, and the customs always just charge us insane amounts of money because they don't trust that somebody is basically giving stuff away in Africa. That just doesn't happen. So usually we are charged like the craziest place is Nigeria. For that they charge us hundreds of dollars for goods that are worth like $200. So that's a big obstacle, and that happens in a lot of African countries, in Latin American, some of them as well. Otherwise, since it's a grassroots education, um, not too many problems, because the governments usually just don't really care like what people are like discussing. Um, One place where we needed to be a little bit more careful was in Cuba. We have run the program in Cuba, and all the photos basically need to be without faces, so that nobody gets into trouble. But like the organizers are well aware of that, so they only post like anonymized pictures from the meetups. Um, we have run the program in Haiti. That was one of the toughest one because that place is basically or was like half a year ago. It was basically like a civil war kind of situation. So it was very hard for us to get the merch in, but somebody just smuggled it from the Dominican Republic. um, and yeah, the guys ran the program in the end, and that's really so inspiring about some of the people that we work with, that basically they should get out of the country, because it's really dangerous sometimes to be in this place. And if you're a Bitcoiner, usually you have like means and you have the connections to get out of the country, but they are so passionate about their communities, they still want to teach others about Bitcoin. They're risking quite a lot, and in the end, these are one of the best programs that we have, because people do it truly out of their heart. So to answer, the governments usually don't care that much. The main obstacle is just that some countries are really chaotic. Stuff gets lost. Power goes out. There's crazy weather, blackouts, customs officials just trying to steal from you. But otherwise, like the government as such doesn't really pay that much attention.
Excellent. And what do you think that we need to make Bitcoin adoption massive? Talking about education.
I mean, I'm always for the bottom-up education, bottom-up adoption. So, for example, in Salvador, I'm a big fan of Mi Primer Bitcoin, of the My First Bitcoin, because that's really the grassroots bottom-up education, and the Bitcoin Beach, what they have been doing in El Zonte. But I've never been a fan of the President Bukele's like top-down approach with the Chivo wallet. Stuff like that. So yeah, we ideally would like to see like a massive grassroots adoption, but it won't happen in a top-down fashion where somebody comes in, makes Bitcoin a legal tender. I mean, it's nice from the tax perspective, maybe, and from the accounting perspective, but Bitcoin doesn't get adopted like that. Bitcoin gets adopted through local merchants and local people just using Bitcoin, thinking in Bitcoin, earning and spending Bitcoin.
Yes, totally agree on that. That's the way that the hyper Bitcoinization can happen. And let's talk a little bit about Trezor Wallet. I assume that you know about it. You are in Trezor Academy and Trezor Wallet as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working for Trezor since 2021, and I've been using one um, since forever.
So
Yeah, I do know a thing or two about Trezors.
and what are the main characteristic that the wallet has that makes better than the others?
Oh, yeah, so mostly it's that it's fully open source and always have been. And I believe being open source in terms of Bitcoin security, it's the crucial point so that anybody can validate, not trust, or verify. Don't trust, verify. So Bitcoin and Trezor has always been like that. Trezor has been around since 2013, so 12 years now. Always open source since day one, and it wouldn't be the wallet it is today without third-party independent auditors and just security researchers that are trying to break the wallet and make it stronger. Because there's always going to be people that are trying to find vulnerabilities in the hardware wallets. But if it's open source, and for example, if you have like security bounties for the white hat researchers, then you will make the product actually much more resilient than if you're trying to go for like security through obscurity, which some of the competition is trying to do. And I don't think that's a good approach. So open source is definitely like the most crucial uh, building stone of Trezor and hardware wallet industry in general.
Yes, I think that open source offers this because all the people who is involved and know about technicalities, they can improve uh, the things in their own needs. Probably a Bitcoiner is using this and said, okay, I want to add this feature, and they add it and they go to GitHub. I'm not a programmer, I'm not a tech guy, but I understand the passion of the developers who develop all these things, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And as you say, you're not a programmer, I'm not a programmer, but if I'm dealing with a tool that is open source, I know I can just go on YouTube, for example, or Twitter, and try to find, I don't know, like Trezor Safe 3 vulnerabilities, and I will search for that. And I will see that people are actually auditing this type of device. And it's not just like Bitcoin stuff, it's also like messengers like Signal. That's why like Signal is much more powerful than, for example, I don't know, WhatsApp, because Signal is open source. Not sure about how open source WhatsApp is. I'm not really sure right now, but I know Signal has been open source since day one, and there's a lot of like security researchers working on that, so that I can be pretty certain that even if I don't understand what's going on, there's a lot of people that do understand, and that would sound the alarm if anything was going wrong. So that applies to Bitcoin, that applies to Trezor, that applies to anything that is that you need to be certain that is secure, and it always needs to be open source.
Yes, totally agree on that. And talking about the future, what are the plans for Trezor Academy and for Trezor?
Yeah, so for Trezor Academy, we are slowly, gradually expanding across Africa, across Latin America, just one educator at a time. We don't want to do like programs everywhere. It's really heavily dependable, or heavily depending on what kind of like educators we find in the local communities. So gradually we are expanding, and when we are happy with the educators that we work with, we will do like regular programs. And help them build, basically a career out of that, because a lot of the people that we work with, also like the Plan B network works with, eventually the B Trust, they work with them. Usually they will find a job sooner or later for some Bitcoin company. So yeah, just support people like that, and it helps the local community as well if they see like you can be actually successful in Bitcoin. So that's for Trezor Academy. For Trezor, in October, we will have like a major new product reveal. I cannot say much at this point, but it's going to be very interesting. And like, there's just one point I would like to bring up. There's going to be my favorite Bitcoin conference in Africa, which is the Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town. That's in January 2026. So I would recommend everyone to just check it out, Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town. It's run by the guys behind Bitcoin Akasi and Machankura, so one of the best projects on the African continent in South Africa. And it's really one of the best Bitcoin conferences I've been to. I've been to many, many conferences all around the world, but Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town is like the true pleb Bitcoin conference.
Yeah, I want to attend to a conference in Africa because I never been in Africa besides stopover with the plane, but never been in Africa, and I can feel when I talk with these people on my podcast the energy and how they are transforming lives of their communities. I'm looking forward to go to one of them someday. And as an educator, because I was picking up some a question that I was asking to the people in the conference here in Hong Kong. I want to ask you the first question that I do to all of them, that is, explain Bitcoin in just one sentence so any grandma can understand it.
Bitcoin is separation of money and state.
Separation of money and state. Amazing, amazing. And talking about Bitcoin in general, what do you think about the future?
So I believe Bitcoin is like a very crucial link that we as a humanity need to progress to the next level. Or it's not just maybe to progress, but to stop the regression, because in many ways, since the end of the golden standard, I believe like the mankind has regressed, in many ways. Also, like, I mean, very interesting book that I'm just reading right now is this one, The Bushido of Bitcoin by Svetsky. And he goes on about like the lost virtues that like the societies of today have lost basically all the connection to these ancient virtues. And Bitcoin is like a very crucial link to bring this back. So it's always interesting to think about how Bitcoin can change the society for the better. And it's just not just money. It's not just like economic prosperity. It's stuff like that. It's stuff like building more honest societies. Getting more in touch with like our communities, our values. So and uh, uh, like getting this kind of responsibility back to people, because with fiat and with the high time preference society that we live in, there's like very little accountability. Feels like that. And yeah, this is a little bit of a rant, but it's just some of the things that I've been thinking about reading Svetsky right now. So so far, a very good book that I would recommend. So I mean, we're on the path to hyper Bitcoinization for sure, but it's not just about economics. It's not just about like being more prosperous, which is great. We need that, but it's all about stopping the regression that we've been like going through since World War One, I would say, since the past 100 years. And there's people that talk about that much better than I do. People like Svetsky, Lynn Olden, Lawrence Leppard, so many great Bitcoin books that have been coming around recently.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
mentioned.
just read, just read about Bitcoin and think about Bitcoin, and just you know um, build it into your life. It starts with the individuals and their families and their communities. think about who you are, who you want to be. And that's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin, because it's a catalyst to change your life. If you understand, like if you really understand it, then you can
Yes.
become like whoever you want to be.
Yes, that's the point. You nail it. And talking about Alex Svetsky, we had him talking about his book, The Bushido of Bitcoin. There is a whole episode we have in our Rumble channel because YouTube banned our last channel, and we had him a couple of weeks ago talking about his project Satlantis, the social media for digital nomad based on Nostr, and also we had at the beginning in April, Lawrence Lepard. It's been an amazing chat. I have the book here. I read his book. Also, the book of Lynn Alden. In my opinion, it's a little bit hard to read the book of Lynn Alden, but she gives an amazing explanation at the end of what is Bitcoin and how does it work. That is amazing. But the first part is all about hard economics explained, but she's a genius and she explains super good. And talking about let's move to the last question that I do to everyone is, if you have the chance to talk with Satoshi Nakamoto, what would you ask or say to him, her, or them?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anybody should be able to ask Satoshi anything. I would respect the choice he or she made to just disappear and preserve the privacy. So no, I wouldn't like to talk to Satoshi, because then I would be tempted maybe to tell others who it is. So we should just respect the legacy.
That's the point. Yeah, we just respect his, her, or their legacy, and keep honoring the memory, or if he or she pass away, uh, doing this every day, educating people, making more Bitcoiners, pushing people to adopt Bitcoin, and keep them avoiding the shit coins, the scam, and giving the people a better future in this world. Joseph, anything else you want to add, and how people can contact you?
Yeah, so not much to add. Check out like the stuff we talked about, like adopting Bitcoin Cape Town. Maybe we'll see each other there. One of the best conferences there is. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter, just Josef Cetek, my name, and that's usually where I hang out.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Has been a pleasure talking to you, and keep doing this amazing job that you are doing, educating people, the people that needs the most of Bitcoin. Hope you can expand to more communities and keep giving the orange pill to all these people who are needing Bitcoin.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much to everyone who is on the other side. If you like this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, and like and share, and also subscribe to our new YouTube channel. I said that this is the last one, is Libertarian BTC, or in English, Libertarian BTC ESP is the Spanish one. We are also on Rumble. I don't know how to use it, but just look for the Bitcoin Libertarian and you can find us. We are in Patreon, the Bitcoin Libertarian, and Instagram, the Bitcoin Libertarian, and of course on X, the Bitcoin _. See you in the next episode of our podcast. Share this episode with the people you love. Share this episode with the people you hate, because we must orange pill 8 billion people. Stay humble, stack sats, and remember, we are all Satoshi.